So I also, now that I'm back here in the States, watched a documentary that I had been looking forward to for quite a while called Dolores, about Dolores Huerta. It's directed by Peter Bratt, who I believe is Benjamin Bratt's brother, because Benjamin Bratt is one of the, yes, he is Benjamin Bratt's brother, is the consulting producer on the film. Also Santana. So this is a film about Dolores Huerta. If you do not know who Dolores Huerta is, go watch this movie, and also Google her. She is fantastic. As a Californian, you better know who Dolores Huerta is, but pretty much as a person living in this world, you should know who Dolores Huerta is. She was a co-founder of the Farm Workers Union with Cesar Chavez and worked very closely with him in all of their doings and political activism. She was a community organizer. She was apparently a mother of 11. I did not know that. Wow. And she just did a lot for this country and for workers, for feminism, for equality, for California, for our food health, for our environmental health, for so many things, for basically the fighting for the history of Chicana America. Like, she did so much. And this film shows mostly the sort of, it almost goes into a little bit of that sort of hero worshipness, but she's such an interesting, important woman that I'm almost okay with that, except that then it does occasionally delve into the ways in which her lifestyle affected mainly her children and other people. But mostly it just shows what it took to do what she did during the time in which she did it. She was a woman who was raised in California in the 30s and 40s, and came of age in a time when women of her race and class got married and had babies, and that was it. And she got married and had babies, and that was not it for her. And then she got married and had babies again, and it still wasn't it for her. And then she wrote legislature at 26. Fucking amazing. And then she dedicated her life to this movement and dedicated all her time to social justice and to changing the world. And in doing that, also learned a lot of her own prejudices. And the film is a beautiful portrait of what it is to have passion and have persistence of vision, but also be willing to continually learn, and then share what you've learned with others. And there was a lot of interviews with several of her children, with people who work with her, with contemporaries like Angela Davis and Gloria Steinem. Just thought it was a fantastic film. There were several people who were not necessarily her contemporaries, but whose lives were affected by her work. People who are now senators, people who are now activists of their own, people whose parents' lives were affected by getting rights and by getting the things that the labor union got for them. And because of those things that they got, their children and grandchildren were able to have better futures. And it's just a wonderful film about a wonderful person who is still going strong and still fighting for what she believes in. And in a world where we have so many women afraid to speak up because of the repercussions that will befall them, it's wonderful to see such a striking inspiration who just did it. And it's not to say that, like, the women who are afraid to say anything should just do it. Like, there are situations, and it's wonderful to see that it's not going to be as difficult, I think, going forward, and to see that the more we band together, the more we can fight for this future. There was a moment in the film that I found really devastating where they showed her working closely with Bobby Kennedy and how he was really for the farm workers, and how there was this moment of pure hope. I think even more so perhaps than, or unparalleled until we had Obama running, that someone would really come in and affect policies that would make this country a better place. And then when he's assassinated, it just destroyed all of that. And I think we had decades of people who didn't help anything. Oh God, and there was so many shots of Reagan just being the worst governor ever, and then the worst president ever. Just like maybe not the worst ever, but pretty high up there in terms of like shitty politicians. And Nixon. It's tough to realize that this country is still, and a lot of industries in this country, both in terms of from everywhere from agriculture all the way to entertainment, are run by horrible white men who fuck everyone over. And this is a film about a woman who was like, nah, I'm going to not let that happen. And I'm going to continue to try to not let that happen. And I feel like we need to, all the women just need to get together and not let this happen ever again. Not let anybody tell us that we can't, because we can and we should. And a movie like this really helps sort of show why having a voice and using your voice is so important and inspiring. So I'm glad I got to see this film, and you should check it out. It's in limited theaters right now. I think it was co-financed by PBS, maybe, so it might end up on PBS at some point. But you should definitely watch this film. It's fantastic, and learn about Dolores Huerta and what an amazing, trailblazing woman she was.